So the topic of neurodiversity in the workplace is growing in recognition for several important reasons. Together, they reflect social change, business needs, legal obligations, and a greater understanding of how people think and work. We're all different, aren't we, at the end of the day? There are a number of most intelligent and successful and influential people around today who have disclosed a form of neurodiversity. Richard Branson, Dr. John Elder Robinson, Simone Biles, a US athlete, Dragon's Den star Theo Prophetis, Chris Packham are a few that have had a sublime ability to interpret data, see opportunity, and give undivided attention to the tasks they have been handed, all with huge success and recognition. It is estimated that 15 to 20% of the UK adult population is neurodivergent, which translates to approximately 10 to 13.5 million people. A significant portion of those individuals are working adults, with estimates of around 13 million neurodivergent adults in the UK workforce are gainfully employed. Neurodivergence is an umbrella term for conditions where the brain functions, learns, and processes information differently from what is deemed as a societal norm. Neurotypical is the definition that is given to that. And types of neurodiversity include dyslexia, which affects around 10% of the population. ADHD estimated to affect 3 to 4% of UK adults, and autism is prevalent in an estimated around about 1%. Dyspraxia of dyscalculia and Tourette's are also included in these terms. While the number of neurodivergent people is high, the employment rate for some conditions are notably low. For example, only around 31% of autistic adults were in employment in 2023-24, compared to 54.7% for all disabled people and 82% for non-disabled people. So you can see that people with neurodiversity have barriers, have restrictions, there are prejudices, there are concerns about entering into employment, either from that person or from the employer. And there's lots of opportunity being missed here by both employers and employees. Many neurodivergent people do not have a formal diagnosis, and the government in the last month have said that they are going to curtail the amount of formal diagnosis for the most severe, significant cases that come to their attention. Anyone who's got children in their family who believe that they might be some form of neurodiversity might have experienced how difficult it is to get an EHCP. An EHCP, an educational healthcare plan, is something that is constructed and put together by healthcare professionals, usually when that person is a child or a young adult, and it stays with them as a legal document until they're 25 years of age, well into the employment criteria, into the way of working. If you think that people are starting to go into work at 18 years of age. But when it gets to interview, how many people have asked if there is an EHCP to be considered? Are there any considerations to think about at the very early stages through recruitment? We'll go through all of that as we get through this even further today. This really means that individuals with a recognized condition may be lower than the estimated prevalence. A significant number of neurodivergent workers also report more than one condition. What is really important is that labels are not welcome, but recognition and respect is. Neurodiverse does tend to be the most preferred global reference when considering the effects and strengths that each brings. In an economy with high employment costs and low skilled and semi-skilled resources, then surely it's best to approach neurodiversity at work in the most positive way you can to unlock all the unseen potential. The types of neurodiversity include that we're going to cover will be included in this webinar. We're also going to look at the types and the traits, the legal duties that prevail under the Equality Act, because neurodiversity will typically qualify as a disability under Section 6 of the Equality Act. So there are legal duties to consider. We're going to look at how we can identify and support people with neurodiverse traits from recruitment through their employment life cycle, consider best practice and give some industry roles. And at the end of this, you'll have some key takeaways to consider in your businesses. Neurodiversity is the concept that human brains and minds are diverse, with natural variations in how people think, how they learn and process information. Neurodivergence refers to where someone's brain processes information differently from what is considered typical or neurotypical. And as we've said, includes conditions like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and dyspraxia. Neurodiversity is the umbrella term for the variant, and it considers all these considerations. And it best describes those whose brains function in a different way. It's estimated that about 1 in 7 people in the UK are neurodivergent. We've mentioned already there is within the European Commission for Human Rights a determination that neurodiversity will usually qualify for the Section 6 characteristics of the Equality Act. Neurodiversity in the workplace is growing in recognition. Increased awareness and diagnosis are making this more available, but more adults are formally self-identifying with autism, ADHD, dyslexia. This has highlighted how many people were previously unsupported or misunderstood at work. If you can, take yourself back to when you first started work, how many considerations, how people understood neurodiversity. Was it on the agenda? Did employers recognize and understand how they can adapt job roles and tasks to ensure people with neurodiversity could best work? It's great to see that organizations are moving beyond traditional diversity categories such as gender and ethnicity, and neurodiversity is now recognized as a core part of inclusion, focusing on different things, different thinking styles, alternative problem-solving approaches, creativity, and innovation. Business benefits then become clear as employers are discovering that neurodivergent employees often excel in areas such as attention to detail, creative problem solving, pattern recognition techniques, technical analysis, and analytical roles. Process improvements, such as in companies such as Microsoft, GCHQ, Deloitte, and many engineering and logistics firms are oft openly championing neurodivergent talent. Why is this important? Well, we've got talent shortages across many sectors. Construction, transport, logistics, engineering, IT, and manufacturing all face long-term skills shortages. Recognizing and supporting neurodiverse talent provides access to a valuable and often untapped workforce. As mentioned, there are legal drivers under the Equality Act. Many forms of neurodiversity meet the definition of disability under the Act, and this means that employers must avoid discrimination, provide reasonable adjustments, treat employees fairly during recruitment, performance management, benefits reviews, and development. As awareness grows, employers are becoming more proactive about compliance. Younger generations and many older employees expect workplaces to be more flexible, more supportive, more understanding of mental health and cognitive differences. Neurodiversity aligns closely with well-being, mental health support, and inclusive leadership practices. Growth in remote and hybrid working is a culture, a shifting and moving culture. And an acceptance of this way of working opens so many doors and opportunities. Flexible working arrangements have made it easier for neurodivergent employees to be successful by reducing sensory overwhelm, noises, textures, lights, multiple activities. Communicating stress, uh, Communication stress can distract in open plan environments. And this has increased conversations about how environments affect different thinking styles. We're seeing fewer and fewer open plan working environments and having more pods and isolated areas of working to stimulate and help people work more cognizantly. Breaking down stigmas is really important, and campaigns, social media, communities, and high profile figures speaking out about neurodiversity have normalized the conversation, helping reduce outdated stereotypes. And nobody must feel that it's an awkward conversation or a conversation not to be had. When addressing matters of performance and recruitment, it is really important to say we are an equal opportunities employer. Is there anything we can do to support your transition into our employment? Autism is a spectrum. Not everybody will show traits of. Strengths often flourish when the employee has the right adjustments and understanding. Work environments that offer clarity, structure, and psychological safety and enable autistic employees to thrive. Many autistic individuals excel at spotting errors others may miss, noticing inconsistencies, producing highly accurate work. This makes them well suited to quality control, auditing, data checking, and technical roles. Strong focus and persistence is usually a characteristic that autistic people demonstrate. With deep concentration on tasks they find interesting, with the ability to sustain focus for long periods of time, give a strong commitment to completing work to high standards. This is something referred to as hyperfocus, which can be a major asset in analytical or technical work. In terms of logical and structured thinking, strengths may include systematic thinking, problem-solving skills. Preference for clarity and structure are often required by managers. An ability to break complex tasks down into steps are usually very supportive. These skills are valuable in engineering, IT, planning, logistics, and scientific roles, and people with autistic traits have those skills and benefits to be able to be really successful in them. Many autistic individuals communicate directly and transparently and reliably and consistently follow rules and processes. This creates a positive impact on work culture and trust. Remember, when you are talking to somebody, and if you think they are forthright or abrupt with you, it might not be because they are angry. It might be a trait of a neurodiversity quality that they have, such as autism. Many autistic individuals are working in lots of environments and are contributing really highly. Autism is often associated with unique perspectives, unconventional problem-solving approaches, creativity and design analysis, or conceptual thinking. People may approach challenges differently, often leading to more effective solutions. Some autistic individuals have excellent long-term memory, strong recall of detail, high accuracy in remembering and instruction, facts and figures, and these skills are often strength and complex planning and safety critical work. Preferences can include the consistency in the work that they do. A common strength in autism is the ability to identify patterns, spot trends in data recognition, and irregularities quickly. This is used in data science, cybersecurity, engineering, and financial analysis. The angle and view that we are giving here is that neurodivergent traits or strengths, they are characteristics that can benefit roles and businesses. And it's imperative that we're embracing these and considering and designing jobs and the way that we instruct and guide and work with members of society that are in our workplaces to best exploit these ways of working. ADHD presents differently in everyone, and not all traits apply to individuals. Strengths emerge most clearly with the right reasonable adjustments, such as flexible working, reduced admin burden, and clarity in tasks. ADHD is also recognised under the Equality Act as a disability when it has a substantial long-term impact on daily activities, meaning employers must make adjustments. Many people with ADHD bring strong enthusiasm for tasks that interest them in the ability to do the work to speed when needed, a natural sense of urgency. High levels of activity and productivity are prevalent, and this energy can be valuable in fast-paced, reactive, or hands-on roles. ADHD is strongly associated with divergent thinking, generating multiple ideas quickly, seeing problems from fresh angles, creative problem solving under pressure. People with ADHD often excel in roles where new ideas, adaptability, and originality are needed. Although concentration can fluctuate, many individuals with ADHD experience hyperfocus, but in a short period of time, leading to deeply immersive work they find meaningful with rapid progress in specific tasks. Quality is of high output when interest is high, but it can be low when interest is the opposite. This can be a strong advantage in analytical, creative, or project-based roles. Resilience and adaptability come from lived experience that often develops strong coping strategies determined to overcome challenges. Resilience is uncertain or stressful environments for comfort in rapidly changing situations. People with ADHD often manage unpredictability better than most colleagues. ADHD brains typically respond well in high pressure moments due to fast thinking and instinctive reactions. They remain calm under pressure, making quick decisions, switching rapidly between tasks, managing urgent problem solving tasks effectively. This is useful in operations, transport, emergency response, logistics, and customer service escalation roles. Many individuals with ADHD have strong communication styles, the ability to build rapport quickly, with natural enthusiasm that engages others. They have strong teamwork instincts, with these strengths benefiting leadership, sales, customer service, training, and collaborative roles. ADHD can also drive a desire to explore new ideas, eagerness to try new approaches, continual learning and improvement, interest in topics that spark motivation. This supports innovation, personal development, and organizational growth. ADHD brains often jump between ideas which can be enhancing, and this can be particularly beneficial in planning and designing problem solving and leadership roles. The consideration, as the slide says, is that concentration can be variable, and that again might be something that is recognized as a performance weakness. But there are so many positives and strengths that I've just mentioned here that need to be considered by managers as opposed to addressing the weakness. Dyslexia varies widely, and the traits vary again from individual to individual. Strengths are most visible when the workplace provides the right reasonable adjustments, such as assistive technology, extra time, or support with written tasks. And again, dyslexia fulfills the test under the Equality Act, meaning that employers need to consider reasonable adjustments. Many dyslexic individuals naturally focus on the broader view rather than the smaller details. Strengths include strong strategic thinking ability to connect ideas that others may not see, natural ability to spot overarching patterns or themes. This makes dyslexic thinkers strong contributors in planning, creative, and leadership roles. Dyslexia is strongly associated with inventive thinking, generating new ideas and solutions, approaching problems from unexpected angles, resourcefulness, and adaptability. This creativity is highly valuable in design, marketing, communications, technology, construction, planning, and service innovation roles. A good friend of mine was diagnosed in late years with dyslexia. He's a construction site manager and finds his benefits come to the fray when he is out on site, solving problems, helping people overcome situations, and making sure multitasks are being coordinated. His weaknesses, by his own admission, come when he's got to do his paperwork. Although written tasks may be challenging, many dyslexic people are great in verbal reasoning with presentations, discussions, relationship building. This makes them effective team contributors, client-facing representatives, trainers, and leaders. Many dyslexic individuals demonstrate visual spatial abilities, including imagining concepts in 3D, understanding layouts and physical space, identifying structure or design flaws, interpreting diagrams and technical drawings. These strengths are common in engineering, construction, architecture, logistics, and creative industries. And it just reminds me so clearly here about my friend who's the site manager. Dyslexic employees often learn best by observing and experimenting, working through real examples. This approach suits roles such as trade and manufacturing and working in field-based environments. Some dyslexic individuals have high emotional intelligence, strong empathy, supportive team behaviors, ability to read people and situations. These strengths support leadership and teamwork, customer service, and people-focused roles. Managing challenges during education or early career can build strong perseverance, problem solving, resilience, willingness to work hard to achieve goals, and ability to adapt under pressure. This really does strengthen personal resilience. But as I mentioned earlier, we go back to our formative years of employment and education. There was very little in place to understand, let alone assess and support people with neurodiversity like dyslexia. Because of their creativity, big picture thinking, and risk tolerance, dyslexic individuals often excel in the business development, and dyslexia is disproportionately represented amongst entrepreneurs and founders. So it has proven to be a barrier to people progressing. People with Tourette syndrome often grow up managing challenging misconceptions or social judgment. This frequently builds a strong emotional resilience and determination to succeed despite the obstacles. The ability to stay focused under pressure with adaptability when things change unexpectedly, it becomes a real strength. These traits are highly valued in high demand or fast changing environments. Many individuals with Tourette syndrome experience periods of deep concentration, sustained mental focus, strong engagement in tasks, high work output. This can be significant strength in these analytical roles. Tourette's is associated with imaginative thinking and problem solving, with unconventional approaches to challenges, quick thinking in complex, pressured situations, the kind of creative thinking that benefits innovation, design, engineering, and strategic roles. Living with Tourette's syndrome often builds strong empathy for others, sensitivity to people's experiences and needs. They become good with people skills in supportive environments with a collaborative and understanding communication style. This is valuable in customer service, leadership, human resources, coaching, and healthcare roles. Many individuals with Tourette's syndrome rapidly inform processes, have strong situational judgment, and ability to react quickly. Managing tics and external pressures often develop persistent with challenging tasks with ability to navigate barriers independently with strong internal problem-solving skills. A positive approach to overcoming obstacles, this makes individuals with Tourette's syndrome strong contributors on long-term or complex projects. Some people with Tourette's syndrome naturally bring high levels of enthusiasm, strong work engagement, energy and motivation, a visible commitment to team goals. Tourette's syndrome varies differently between individuals, and no single set of traits applies to everyone. Strengths are best supported through reasonable adjustments, such as flexible breaks, removing avoidable pressures, and thinking about how we can accommodate a supportive team culture. I've mentioned throughout the traits of neurodiversity, the law that applies to people who may qualify under the Equality Act 2010, as it protects neurodivergent people at work by ensuring that they are not less favourably treated or given or treated with disadvantage by workplace policies or denied reasonable adjustments, that they're not harassed or victimized for being neurodivergent or for requesting support. Employers have a protective legal duty to identify barriers, make adjustments, and create environments where neurodivergent staff can work safely and effectively. The Equality Act protects individuals from discrimination and harassment and victimization based on protected characteristics. Many neurodivergent conditions such as ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and Tourette's syndrome will meet the definition of disability, as the conditions are often substantial and have a long-term impact on day-to-day activities. Where this is the case, the employee is protected regardless of whether they have a formal diagnosis. Following are the main ways the Act protects neurodivergent people. It is unlawful to treat some people less favourably because they're neurodivergent, and examples include refusing to hire someone because they've disclosed autism or ADHD, or denying training or promotion because they are neurodivergent, or dismissing somewhere because their neurodiversity were misunderstood. I've mentioned before, if somebody appears abrupt and forthright with their communications, it might not mean that they are aggressive or being angry with you. It might be a trait of their neurodiversity, which must be explored. Indirect discrimination occurs when a workplace has rules, policies, or practice that applies to everyone, but then puts neurodivergent people at disadvantage. For example, requiring all staff to work in noisy open plan environments, relying heavily on timed written tests in recruitment, expecting all employees to multitask constantly. Employers must justify such rules as a proportionate means of meeting a legitimate aim, or they've got to change those cultures and ways of working. Under the Equality Act, there is a duty to make reasonable adjustments. This is the most important protection for neurodivergent employees. Employees must take reasonable steps to remove or reduce workplace barriers. Adjustments may include providing quiet workspaces or noise cancelling tools like headphones, allowing flexible working or breaks more regular, offering written instruction or clear task lists, using assistive technology, adjusting recruitment tasks or performance assessments. One thing I became aware of in conversations with somebody coming to an interview is they felt really uncomfortable wearing a suit, a shirt, and a tie, but felt that that was compelled upon them, that that was something that they must do. So we gave some recommendation and allowed them to adjust their work attire, and it enabled them to really flourish and perform at that interview. That was a barrier, an easy barrier to overcome by making some adjustments to work in practice. When you think about it, it's really eye-opening, and some things that we do from a cultural point of view are really not in line with modern day-to-day working practices. So let's think about changing some of those. Protection from disability arises where there is unfair treatment because of the neurodiversity behaviours. Disciplining a dyslexic employee for written mistakes without offering support, penalising an autistic employee for communication differences, sanctioning an ADHD employee for restlessness or concentration challenges without considering reasonable adjustments will lead an employer into hot water. It's just something we shouldn't be doing. Employers must consider if the behaviour is linked to the condition and whether adjustments could resolve the issue. As opposed to going into disciplinary, think about performance reviews, performance improvement plans, or a good informal mechanism to avoid formal disciplinary that might be construed as a less favourable treatment for a neurodiverse employee. But go further than that. When people's traits start to come to light, have a conversation. There is nothing wrong to say, I've noticed this. Is there anything I need to be aware of to support you, to help you? And those conversations that I've been prompting and recommending to managers have resolved situations, given a greater understanding and an ability for productive output and a long-standing working relationship. Neurodivergent employees must not be subject to mocking or jokes about their traits. That has often been a case for people with Tourette's syndrome. Teasing or humiliation, negative comments about tics, stimming focus or communication. Harassment includes any behaviour that violates dignity or creates an intimidating, hostile or degrading environment. And it is really serious. If we've got cases of harassment going on, we've got to really think about our culture and how our business is performing. Employees must not be treated badly because they raise concerns about discrimination. They should be protected from victimization. They shouldn't feel under pressure or reluctant to ask for reasonable adjustments or to ask for support from somebody, or to make a complaint or submit a grievance about poor treatment. Examples are downgrading performance ratings after someone requested adjustment, excluding someone for raising a concern about accessibility. Victimization is unlawful and often high risk for employers. Recruitment processes, as I mentioned, must not be disadvantage to neurodivergent. And this is the first taster, the first experience that somebody has of an organization. There's an unnecessary emphasis on handwritten or timed tasks, lack of clarity on interview expectations, sensory overwhelming interviews, setting reasonable adjustments in recruitment must be considered. For example, think about how the person applies for the role, the way that the submission is made, how they are assessed, the way that you invite them to an interview Do you ask them about any adjustments that they might need to be considered for before coming to the role? Set expectations about the type of room you're going to be in, the expected dress code, the people that are going to be in attendance, and only have the people in attendance who really need to be there. Try to get them to be on board and aligned to that person's needs. If they do need to tone down or change their way of dress, then try to be a little less formal yourself so that they feel confident and comfortable in the environment. Think about environmental noises. Think about the place that you're going to be sat. Think about the lighting. They're all adjustments and considerations that employers must take when thinking about interview as a very first opportunity. The Equality Act protects neurodivergent people at work by ensuring they're not less favourably treated. And it's really important that we understand that, not just from a legal point of view, but from a cultural and best practice and engaging and immersive culture that we're looking to create. Many neurodivergent employees only disclose when the workplace feels inclusive, that managers are supportive, there is no fear of judgment or negative consequences. Employers can encourage disclosure by promoting neurodiversity awareness, providing clear policies, training managers in supportive conversations, emphasizing confidentiality, privacy, and respect. Managers should focus on workplace behaviours, not diagnosis. Indicators may include difficulties with concentration in noisy environments, written communication, spelling, or organisation time management or task prioritisation. Social communications or interpreting non-verbal cues, sensory overload, such as noises, lights, busy spaces, might all have a detrimental impact on neurodiverse people. These observations should lead to supported discussions, but not assumptions. Managers can ask, are there any adjustments that would help you perform at your best? Are there aspects of the environment that make your work more difficult? What type of communication works best for you? These questions are great at pre-employment, so at the interview stage, and inviting somebody to an interview is really useful. These questions allow employees to share information voluntarily, but they demonstrate that you are open to listen and understand and support them. Employers can arrange occupational health assessments if the need is must. I've got a number of clients who work in environments that are inherently noisy, construction sites with sirens and lights and engine noise and movement going on. May be a situation that some neurodivergent people would struggle with. So we might look towards occupational health to assess and make sure we're making all the decisions and considerations that we might be able to make. Workplace needs assessment, especially for dyslexia, ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, and access to work assessments provide insights into workplace barriers, recommendations for adjustments, non-medical identification of needs, and no diagnosis is required for adjustments. We're probably accustomed in our offices undertaking display screen equipment assessments. It's been a health and safety law for some time. So why not expand upon this for people to consider people with neurodiversity? Some employees may not want a direct conversation, but employers can use other ways, other mechanisms, such as surveys, voluntary neurodiversity disclosure wellbeing checks, and anonymous feedback tools like Microsoft Forms. This helps identify support needs across the workforce, and a culture survey, a workplace or a wellbeing survey might encourage disclosure on any matters that are causing barriers. As we mentioned, neurodiversity is often linked with strengths such as creativity, hyperfocus, problem solving, attention to detail, visual thinking, big picture insights, and must remain front and center in our recruitment and management of employees. When it comes to making further adjustment, quiet workspaces or access to low stimulus areas, noise cancelling headphones, screens, filters, or adjusted lighting to reduce glare, seating adjustments to avoid high traffic or noisy areas, options to work from home where appropriate, flexibility around shared workspace situations, predictable workspace layouts need to be avoided. Flexibility around start and finish times and short breaks throughout the day to manage focus or sensory overload. Hybrid working options must have clear expectations around output rather than rigid timing. Extended time to complete tasks where appropriate could also help. In terms of communications, it must be clear, direct, written instruction, use of lists, bullet points, or step-by-step guides as opposed to ambiguous or long-winded instructions and policies. Avoid reliance on verbal-only instruction if you can, and advance notice of change, or meetings or deadlines where possible to limit the pressure, the stresses that may cause. Allow time to process information before responding and allow the employees to ask for instruction in their preferred format. Breaking work into small structured tasks, providing templates for common tasks such as emails and reports would also help. Reducing multitasking where it causes difficulty and allowing focus time with it without interruption would help. Allocating work based on strengths, for example, analytical, visual, or creative skills, and adjusting performance measures to reflect support needs as opposed to weaknesses in areas for development. Assistive technology can involve speak-to-text or text-to-speech tools, spelling, grammar, supportive tools like Grammarly or ClaroRead. Screen readers or audio note tools are really helpful, like AI digital meeting recording. Digital planners or reminder apps and software that reduces visual distraction, for example, color overlays. Use of shared calendars or reminders with regular check-ins with a manager or mentor, with support with prioritization, structured weekly or daily planning, visual timetables or workflow boards would really help. Extra time for training or written tests is imperative. If someone's doing a test like with the Health and Safety Board, IOSH, if you make a disclosure of a neurodivergent condition and need extra time, time will be granted and afforded, so you've got the best opportunity for them to complete that test. Think about that in your work as well. Allowing recordings of meetings or training sessions is really important so that they can go over the conversations that have happened in case anything has been missed. Some examples of good practice are covered on that slide there. Where we go into building an exclusive culture is reviewing the communications in the equality, inclusion and diversity policy to create workplace networks, raise understanding and awareness, and look for natural role models in the workplace that can nurture and empathize and support people who might have neurodiverse challenges. Taking all we have today, the benefits of exploring neurodiverse traits among current and future workforce, here are some roles that lead themselves really well to some of the points that people bring to their employment with neurodiversity. In construction, CAD and surveying techniques and roles, and quality control in manufacturing with planning, design, operations and logistics in transportation. And data, marketing and communications can be really good tasks for people with these fine skills and qualities that come together with neurodiversity. To leave today, then, the message that I wanted to get across is that neurodiversity should not be looked upon as a weakness or a challenge. It should be looked at as a strength and an opportunity for us to work better, more productive, and more engaged with people who have traits that need support and understanding. Conduct a sensory audit. You probably do a premises inspection from a health and safety compliance point of view, and display screen equipment audits from a administrative point of view. Why not encompass this? Why not grow and develop that to think about the traits that we've talked about today, and think about how the noise, how the light, how the environment, how it is organized best to include everybody. We've talked about legal compliance. The Equality Act is really strong on matters of disability for which neurodiversity is very, very likely to sit within. We've got to think about the neurodiversity might have an impact on normal daily activities for a long period of time. It's a lifelong condition. It's not something that is going to be cured or go away. We mustn't think in those ways. We must think about reasonable adjustments to accommodate from interview and job adverts through to the recruitment process, and then how we onboard and induct and manage and flourish and grow those individuals through their career in our businesses. Our approach must be inclusive, not adversarial, not exclusive to those that haven't got these conditions and traits that people bring to their employment. Thanks for coming today. It's been a real eye-opener for a lot of people, I'm sure, here about the awareness and the amount of people that are around them, either in their families or in their friendship groups, but also in their work environment, that you think on reflection may have a matter of neurodiversity and you've not really thought about it before and how it impacts on them. I certainly use this in my social world and my family world as well, and do look to engage and make adjustments to people to make sure they're included and feel safe in the environment that they work. If there are any questions, then do email me on andrew.wilson@thsp.co.uk.